Hi everybody, my name is Gabby. I'm a second year student at Bond for the DPT program. I'll be taking over OzTREKKers Instagram today just to kind of show you guys a little bit of Gold Coast and then answer any of those questions that you have about the Bond program. I'll be answering questions all day, so keep sending them through and stay tuned. So the courses are pretty full on at Bond. You'll be doing like 5 days a week usually for a full day, just because they'll be doing all of that course content, all that stuff you need to know first. And then after you do all that, you'll head out onto placements and then also doing some research stuff as well. I found the transition over here pretty easy, I guess. The uni does a really good job of helping you kind of set up everything that you need. So I guess like health insurance, they do a really good job of helping you with. And then the student visa process was pretty easy. But they're also really good at just answering any questions that you have. So if there's anything you're stressed about, don't be scared to send them an email. And then I guess once I got here, still I didn't find it too difficult because everybody's super friendly, and then it's very similar to back home in Canada, so that made the adjustment a lot easier for sure. And then yeah, everybody's just super nice. Okay, one of the biggest challenges moving across the world, probably not as much anything to do with like settling in here, but I think what I found the most challenging is just getting used to like everybody else from home being on a different time zone and just on a different schedule to you, and then just trying to, I guess, like work out when to call them, and then just kind of figuring out a schedule that works for you and works for them.
Being like a well-rounded student, so having a lot of experience like in a variety of fields, working with people who have disabilities, working with sports teams, like just not being in one stream, like having a variety of experiences, I think is something that they like to see.
No, and then I was gonna say, I guess just like coming to your interview, just be yourself, don't try to put on an act. Yeah, and that's probably the best way to set yourself apart, I guess.
Yeah. My favorite part is probably, I really like the class sizes and the way our program is organized. I think it's really good and super helpful and conducive to learning lots.
And then I guess I'd say probably the amount of educators that we have. We've got quite a few that usually help out with every class, and then they are always there to help out. Like if you have any questions, they're right there. They're so nice and always willing to help out. They genuinely care about you doing well, which is really nice. And yeah.
So for me, one of the biggest culture shocks moving here was that most of the shops close around like 5-6 p.m. and really like nothing's open on the Gold Coast after 8 p.m. Mm-hmm. It's early to bed for sure.
Yeah, and then all the cafes close usually like what, 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
So there's usually no coffee in the afternoon, so you have to bring your own. And then one kind of weird adjustment was how often people go around in bare feet here. Not just at the beach, they usually take their bare feet into the shops as well, so get used to that.
I think the transition isn't too complicated. I think the main thing is just that it's time consuming because you have to transfer, like you have to get approval to like transfer your documents, I think, back to Canada, and then you have to do your written exam and your practical exam, and then I think there's a couple things that just depend on what province or territory you're from. There's like specific things for each province that you have to abide by, so just factoring that in as well.
But they do a really good job, just because they know so many of their students are international students that are going to want to be returning home, so they've got a pretty good system in place to help get you sorted going back.
So doing research in your undergrad, I think, would be a helpful skill within the program, but I don't think it's necessarily a make or break on whether you get accepted or not. I think as long as you do your prerequisites and you're a pretty well-rounded student, I think that's more what they look for. But I think it would be helpful, like for you personally, once you're in the program and you're in the research topic.
And then if you have done research, absolutely say something, because it is good for them to know. But if you haven't, you don't need to worry about it, because when you do get to that research unit, they'll walk you through everything and make sure you're all set and ready to go.
So in terms of feeling ready for work, I'm not entirely sure yet, because we just started our placements a couple months ago. But I do feel prepared for placement based on our first year of courses. And so far placement has been going well. So I would say in that respect, yes, I feel prepared.
Yeah, and I guess like after these 2 placements, definitely feeling more confident in like our skills as practitioners, and then hopefully as we keep moving forward, onto the other 5, because you do 7 placements total here at Bond. Hopefully just feeling more confident and ready to get out to work. And then in terms of how likely you are to get employed right away, we'll answer that in the next video. Okay, so in terms of how likely you are to get employed right away, a lot of people get offers from their last placement if they do a really good job. But I guess just one thing to remember when you're on placement, these people could be your future employers, so always put your best foot forward. And even if they won't be your employers, they will end up being a reference for you most likely as well. So just always bringing your best to placement. And yeah.
So for the application process, I think just going through OzTREKK was pretty easy. They tell you what documents you need to get in order, and I think transcripts and whatever else you would need. And you submit that through OzTREKK, and then late August, if you did well in your application, then you get asked to come in for an interview, or like a Zoom interview.
Yep.
And Gabby, take it away.
Yeah, so late August will be that interview, usually over Zoom because they don't expect you to fly across the country. And then you'll usually hear in a couple months, finding out whether you got in or not.
One of my favorite things is the weather. It's winter right now, but it's nice and warm. I mean, I'm in a hoodie, but
Acclimatized.
but it's actually generally very warm. Usually like 19, 20 degrees on a bad day. So.
Yep. What would I say? I guess my favorite thing about living in Australia is having the beach so close. Whenever we would get spare time, we'd always make our way down to the beach in the afternoon after class. Just, a little sunset. It's always good.
So the primary reason I chose Bond was because I really like that they have small class sizes and a lot of like one-to-one with your professors and educators, which I thought was really cool.
And then I guess one of the reasons I came to Bond was because you get a lot of clinical hours, so lots of experience with those 7 placements total, which is just really good at helping build up your own knowledge and making you feel even more prepared to get into the real working world.
I found somewhere to live using flatmates. Also, we had like a Bond DPT group chat with all the new incoming students. So if people found places and were looking for roommates, that was a really easy way for us to kind of connect and find places to live.
And then I guess there are also just some good real estate websites here. You can find a place. I guess most of us usually found a spot closer to uni just because it's a little bit easier to get to. And then if somebody had a car, they'd move a little bit further away because there are some other really nice spots in Gold Coast that aren't super close to uni. And then I know it's usually easier to find a place once you're in Australia because a lot of agents won't look at you unless you're here. So.
Okay. One thing that I love about studying in Australia is the fact that I'm able to like explore new places and new areas on the weekends or like after class if I have time. I think that's really cool. And the one thing that I hate about being here is maybe the aggressive birds, especially during nesting season. They're a little scary.
One thing that I love about studying here in Australia is all the new people that you get to meet, like meeting this one. Lucky me. And one of the things I hate about studying in Australia is probably the Canadian snacks that I miss having. I miss my chocolate glazed Timbits from Tim's, but other than that, I mean, studying here has been pretty great, so no complaints.